To begin, we're going to start with making a magic ring. If you don't know how to do that, there is a playlist on my channel called Crochet Basics, and there is a nice slow repetitive tutorial to teach you how to do that. So we've made our magic ring and we are going to single crochet. We are using, just to note, we are using US times for this video. I just find it easier to keep track of the stitches. So we're going to single crochet 18 stitches into our ring. This will create the spider's body. And there is number 18. Feel free to pull your tail slightly just to close up the ring a little bit. Just don't go too tight because it's easier to work into the stitches as we go around. So now we are going to make a start on the first leg, and to do that we're going to create a chain of 10. 1, 2, and 10. Then we are going to slip stitch into the first 4 chains. So obviously starting in the second chain from the hook, and we'll be doing the same for every leg. Slip stitch into the first chain, second, third and fourth. So you've got 4 slip stitches. Then into the 5th chain space we are going to create a slip stitch increase. So we're going to work 2 slip stitches into the same chain space there. Now it's always a bit fiddly when you come back on through the second one, so you just have to sort of turn your hook that bit a little bit further backwards. And then we are going to finish this leg by slip stitching into the final 4 chain spaces. And 4. And to complete that we are going to, let me just close that ring a little bit, slip stitch into the very first single crochet that we created on our spider body. So that's leg number 1. For leg number 2 we are going to make a chain of 14. And we are going to slip stitch into the first 6 chain spaces of this one. So again, starting the second chain from the hook, 1, 2, and number 6. Again, into the next chain space we are going to create an increase, so work 2 slip stitches into the same chain space there, taking care when you're creating your second one. Like so. And then we are going to finish off with slip stitching in the final 6 chain spaces. There we go, and slip stitch into the next unworked stitch of the body to finish leg number 2. Leg number 3, again make a chain of 14. So once you've chained your 14, we're going to slip stitch in the next 5 stitches, or chain spaces should I say. and 5. Then we are going to be creating a decrease. So the easiest way to do this, because we're working in slip stitches, is I'm just going to skip the next available chain there and then just work a slip stitch into the one afterwards. So we've essentially slip stitched into 2 stitches, but we just skipped over to make it easier. And then we are going to finish off with a slip stitch into the final 6 chain spaces of this one leg. That's 3. And 6. Now slip stitch into the next available stitch space of the body to complete leg number 3. And for number 4, we again are going to create a chain of 14. And 14. Okay, sorry, can't see my notes. Okay, so we're going to slip stitch into the first 4 chain spaces of these before we then create another decrease. So into the next 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, we're going to create another decrease, so we're just going to skip the next chain space and slip stitch into the following one. Then we're going to slip stitch in the final 7 chain spaces. And finish that one off by a slip stitch into the next empty space of the body. So there we have our first 4 legs. Now with the decreases, you do need to give them a little bit of a bend in the right direction, and the same with the increases, but I can show you all that later on. So you've got your first sort of half of your spider there. Now we're going to be working on the fangs. And to do this, we've slip stitched into that next one there to finish off the leg. We're then going to slip stitch into the next stitch of the body and create a chain of 3. Then we're going to slip stitch back down those 2 chain spaces. And then a slip stitch into the next available stitch space of the body. Then for the second one, we're going to repeat the same, so a chain of 3 and 3, and then slip stitch into those 2 available chain spaces to complete the second fang. This bit is very fiddly. 2, and then find the next available stitch space of the body and finish that off there with that. So now you have your 2 little fangs. Now we're going to be working onto leg number 5, and again we're going to be chaining 14, 7, 8, 13 and 14. And we're going to slip stitch into the first 5 chain spaces of this leg. And 5. Then into the next space we are going to create an increase, so we're going to work 2 slip stitches into the same chain space there. Oh, have I gone into the next one along? Yes. Into the same chain space to create our increase, and then finish that one off with a slip stitch into the next 7 chain spaces. So 1, 2, 7. Again, finish off by a slip stitch into the next available stitch of the body to complete leg number 5. Leg number 6, we are going to make a chain of 13. 1, 2, 3. 13, and slip stitch into the next 4 chain spaces. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Create an increase into the next chain space, so work 2 slip stitches into that same space there for our increase, and then we're going to slip stitch in the final remaining 7 chain spaces there. And finish that one off in the next available space of the body, and that completes leg number 6. Leg number 7, we are going back to our chain of 14 this time. 6, 7, 8, 9, 13 and 14. We're going to slip stitch into the first 5 chain spaces of this leg. And there is our 5th one. Now on this leg we are going to create a decrease, so again as we did before, just skip the next chain space and work a slip stitch into the next one to essentially slip stitch 2 together. Then we are going to finish off by slip stitching into the final 6 remaining chain spaces. Turn it back around so it's facing the right way, and for our 6, and then next available space on the body, and slip stitch into that one to complete leg number 7. And for the final leg we are going to create a chain of 11. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 and 11. Then we're going to slip stitch into the first 4 chain spaces of this one. Follow those 4 slip stitches by a decrease, so we're going to skip the next chain space and work a slip stitch into the next one along, and finish this leg off by working a slip stitch into the final 4 chain spaces left. 2, again turn your work back, 3 and 4. Complete that one by slip stitching into the spider's body. Now we're just going to form a little bit of shaping at the end of his body here. So we slip stitch that one, we need to slip stitch again into the next space. So we've got our leg and then we've completed it, and we've slip stitched into the next 2 available stitch spaces of the body. We're then going to single crochet into the next 2 spaces. 1 and 2. And how many have we got left there before we get to that one? And again in the next 2 as well. So we've created 2 slip stitches, 2 single crochets to shape our spider's body there, and then we will finish off by a slip stitch in the final 2 stitch bases there, and we'll just complete that. That will just finish off there, an extra one if we need to, just to round it off. And then if you pull on your magic ring tail, obviously be quite careful because we're pulling a lot of stitches through, and depending on the strength of your yarn you might want to just take it steady so that it doesn't snap. Make sure I'm pulling the right tail there. There we go. So give it a bit of a pull. So once you've closed up your magic ring as much as you can, I know it's difficult because of so many stitches in there, but actually that makes a perfect little hanging loop. I found that if you thread some yarn, let me just grab a bit of yarn. If you actually, if you want to use them as hanging decorations rather than applique for Halloween or what have you, if you actually pull up some yarn there, and then because you've got that hole, it's like perfect for hanging the string through, and then you just knot the other end to create an anchor point, and then you've got your little spider decorations. And then obviously all there is to finish is just to manipulate the legs to go in the direction that you've created with your increases and your decreases in your legs there to create the little knee joints, and to make the just a little bit less of a sprawled out spider and more of an actual spider shape. Well, I think so anyway. There we go, and there we have it, our little applique or hanging little crochet spider decoration. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, although I know it was a fiddly one. If you did and you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel for more content, especially towards the Christmas period, because I tend to go a bit crazy with my patterns around Christmas. So there'll be lots of content available for you to take a look at, and also please pop a like or a comment on the video, because this helps this be seen by other people, and obviously then I can keep sharing my free content. Thank you very much again, guys, and I'll see you soon. Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been before. Today's tutorial I'm going to teach you how to make my little crochet spider. Now this one is perfect to use as an applique, or as you can see it has got a slight center hole in the middle where we've created using our magic ring. So they're also perfect for making hanging Halloween decorations, anything like that really. So in order to make this little guy, you can pretty much choose the yarn and the hook size of your choice, as long as they're corresponding. But for mine in particular, I'm using a double knit yarn that's just a standard acrylic, and I will be using a 2.5mm hook. You can go up a hook size or 2 if you find it a little bit easier, or you can go down to a 4-ply yarn to make it easier to work with your smaller hooks. And other than that, that's all we need, so let's get ready.